Being a Turkish-Australian chef, I'm well informed on both sides of the Gallipoli or Çanakkale in Turkish story. Let's leave the war history to experts, but I'd like to share with you a few interesting facts about food in Gallipoli. The daily rations of Australian troops are well documented. They mainly consisted of beef pully, marmalade, and that rock-hard oatmeal biscuits nicknamed Anzac bricks. The toughness of the biscuits were legendary. One joke is shared on the Old Foodie website on how to make stock with hardtacks. According to the fake recipe, you boil the biscuits with a rifle. Once the rifle is tender, you throw away the biscuits and eat the rifle stock. The rations for the Turkish soldiers were, on contrast, quite scarce. Ottoman Empire was falling apart at that time, and as a result were not as organized and resourceful as the Anzac food allocation and preparation. Here's a widely circulated document on the allocation of the 43rd Regiment. June 15, morning, grape compote. Lunch, naan. Dinner, barley soup and bread. June 26, morning, naan. Lunch, naan. Dinner, grape compote and bread. July 18, morning, grape compote. Lunch, naan. Dinner, half a loaf of bread.
The Anzac side, they had plenty of canned preserved meat, so protein was there. They had cheese and bacon, they had peas and beans, and they had the army biscuits, which had fiber, and they had also quick energy in the form of jams and fruit preserves. But raw vegetables, fresh vegetables and fruit was non-existent practically because it had to come with the ships. There was adequate food, but not the right food, I would say. Everything was very processed food that made you very, very thirsty, and water was a problem. They had to bring their water with the ships from the Greek islands, and they were geographically in a corner between the steep slopes and the seas. It was like a pocket. But the Turkish side, of course, had all the land behind them. So with small containers, they could transport from hand to hand, even to the front lines. They could transport in flasks the water, the fresh water. And of course, the Turkish kids knew their land and they could find water resources. Even from plants, they could get adequate water supply because they could forage. They knew the plants. Foraging wild greens were easy for them, whereas the Anzacs were coming practically from the other side of the planet. I mean, it was, if you have a skewer from the globe, from Turkey, it comes off the pole is the New Zealand. So it is like, completely a foreign land for the Anzacs. How could they recognize the plants? How could they decide whether to eat them or whether they were poisonous?
It is well known that Turks and Anzacs did a lot of trading between trenches during ceasefire that lasted for days or sometimes weeks. Turks loved the condensed milk and cigarettes, and Anzacs the fresh fruits and raisins. But when Anzacs threw bully beef to the Turkish trenches, the Turks would send it back in a broken French, saying, "Dear enemy, no pork, more cigarettes please." Turks thought it was pork and not halal because they never seen bully beef in their life. Gallipoli was a tragedy, but it helped to build the identity of two great nations, Australia and Turkey, two countries that I feel I belong to, cooking the food of my country of birth, in the one that adopted me and my family.